Government corruption has never been more prevalent or caused more harm. It's why extremism is on the rise. It's why the financial gap between the haves and have-nots has never been wider. And it's why our planet is at risk of an extinction level tragedy. That's why I need your help to keep exposing the truth about the rot on both sides of the aisle. Become a supporter or a friend of the show today by clicking on the coffee link in the description box below. Friends of the show join me on a Zoom hangout once a month, and you guys can ask me any questions you want, and I can get to know you better. But the most important reason to help is to keep the show alive. Together, we can and will save our country and our planet. Thanks in advance and enjoy the show. Hey everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. I have an update to share about one of Trump's Capitol insurrectionists. It's time for an episode of Where Are They Now?
Matthew Bledsoe was arrested.
Patrick Montgomery was in court.
Jonathan Manapa will stay in federal custody.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
So 43-year-old West Virginia resident Eric Barber is a former city council member, and he's a real piece of shit, as you're going to hear. While serving as a councilman in 2018 and after Brett Kavanaugh was confirmed to the Supreme Court, Barber posted on Facebook and said, quote, "Better get your coat hangers ready, liberal." And yes, I read that exactly as it was written. This stable genius apparently doesn't know the difference between your and the hyphenated version of you are. But he wants to tell women what we can and can't do with our bodies. Anyway, Mr. Wonderful gave an interview to NBC News on January 6th, and he said, quote, "Those windows were being broken. There was officers 15 feet away with their hands in their pocket just watching it. So I think at any point, Capitol Police could have stopped what was happening, but just didn't." So then in another interview he gave that was published on January 7th, Barber said that he witnessed people climbing walls and that he saw some of the people entering the building, but he denied entering the Capitol himself. So you guys know exactly where this is headed. Of course, Barber lied. So Barber was seen in photos. He was seen on surveillance video inside the building. He was wearing a combat helmet, and he was seen in one video trying to help other members of the mob break into an office or some sort of room. He was also heard on video saying, quote, "They're giving us the building." And then in another segment of surveillance footage, Barber was seen unplugging and stealing a portable battery charger that was from a media stand that was located inside the Capitol. And when Barber was interviewed by the FBI, he told the agents that he went to DC to, quote, "go punch a Antifa terrorist in the face." So you won't be surprised to hear that Barber was convicted and sentenced to prison in 1999. That was for breaking and entering and petty larceny. Then in 2003, Barber had his parole revoked for driving under the influence and possession of a controlled substance. Also, he attempted to flee on foot. Is that it? No, there's more. In 2012, Barber had his license suspended for once again driving under the influence. Then the following year, he was charged with marijuana possession. And at the time of his arrest for January 6th, he had an outstanding warrant for his arrest for his failure to appear in court for the previous charge. Now you might think that must be where his crime spree ends, right? That's got to be it because he was a city councilman. You'd be wrong. In 2016, Barber was arrested again for driving with a suspended license, and he was arrested yet again in 2017 for disorderly conduct and obstruction. Then, in September of 2020, Barber was accused of being the source of a homophobic attack on a lesbian candidate for the city council. And check this out, you guys. He ran and was elected as a Democrat in 2016. Then in 2017, he changed his registration to independent. Then he finally changed his registration to where he belonged, to Republican. And that was just before he lost his election in 2020. Clearly, Barber never stood for the core tenets of the Democratic Party. This is a perfect example, you guys, what I always talk about about why we need to do our homework on candidates. So Barber was arrested again on March 3rd of last year. He was charged with only the 4 standard misdemeanors: entering a restricted building or grounds, 2 counts of disorderly conduct, and 1 count of parading in a Capitol. Barber then pleaded guilty to 2 misdemeanor crimes in December. He pleaded to parading in a Capitol and theft, and he was looking at up to 6 months in jail, up to 5 years of probation, and up to $5,000 in fines. In court, Barber feigned regret. He told the judge, quote, "My remorse has been sincere and I think was immediate. And I think that differs me from a lot of defendants." But then he made it all about him because, of course, that's what they do. Barber told the judge, quote, "The impact that the crimes I committed on January 6th has had on me has been significant. I've lost significant standing in my community, standing that I worked really hard to earn, but all of that's thrown away." And Barber said that jail time would disrupt his employment and financially burden his family. Should have thought of that before he went criming again. Anyway, Judge Christopher Cooper presided over this case, and he's been pretty lenient with these defendants. But he told Barber in court, quote, "You're too old and you're too accomplished and you're too smart to get involved in nonsense like this." Really? I beg to differ. But he went on to say, quote, "This is not about the First Amendment. You're free to express your views. You're free to support any political candidate or positions or issues that you want. I encourage that. But enough of this nonsense, okay?" And then Judge Cooper also said, quote, "It's troubling that you still seem to have a mindset of there's a bully out there. I need to prime for the fight. You did not go for self-defense, but you went with the helmet ready to punch somebody or affirmatively engage in violence. You clearly recognize the dangerousness of the situation and the potential for violence when you went in through a broken window and obviously saw what was going on around you and heard the alarm. You also went in private parts of the building, which I think is a distinguishing factor, not just the rotunda or statuary hall that would have been open to the public." So with that, he sentenced Barber to 45 days in jail and 24 months of probation. He also ordered Barber to pay a $500 restitution fee, and he got hit with a whopping $52.95 fee to C-SPAN. That was for the stolen charger. Barber was also given a separate 7-day sentence for the theft, but the judge suspended that sentence. This was clearly not anywhere near enough time, especially with this guy's lengthy criminal history. He obviously thinks rules don't apply to him. And his so-called apology was, as we've heard with so many others, just me, me, me. And why in the hell can someone with so many arrests and convictions run for public office and be in a position of public trust? What is going on? What is wrong with us and our country? Seriously, we need higher standards than any port in a storm. I didn't even realize that you could have that extensive of a criminal history, be convicted of so many crimes, and you could still become a public official. Oh my God, we're a laughingstock. So anyway, guys, when I hear more about this piece of work, I will let you know. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Take care. I'll talk with you soon.